Okay, welcome to the January 15th, 2026 meeting of the Downtown Design Commission. My name is Kayla Copeland. I am the chair of the commission. The agenda and documents are located at https://okc.primegov.com/public/portal. You would then select the Downtown Design Commission meeting, then click on the agenda item, and the relevant documents will come up below the item. Please see the agenda for additional information regarding meeting procedures and the review process. If you are parked in the Sheridan Walker parking garage north of John Rex Elementary School or in the Arts District parking garage south of City Hall, staff can provide a parking validation ticket for you today. Keith, will you please call roll?
Copeland.
Here.
Schmid.
Here.
Blatt.
Here.
Brandon.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. So we'll move to item number 2, which is approval of the minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Brandon, second.
Justin,
Brandon, second.
And that passes. Item number 3, cases withdrawn, there are none. Item number 4, continuance requests, we have none today as well. Item number 5, consent docket, we have none as well. So we'll move on to number 6, cases for individual consideration, and we'll start with item A, DTCA-25-00087.
This is at 1111 and 1100 Classen Drive in DTD1. This is an application that the Commission saw last month and approved all other items. The Commission continued the installation of carport structures with solar roof canopies to provide for some additional consideration of alternate locations for the carport structures. The Commission did recommend approval of a variance for the installation of the solar. So that's already been addressed. It's just before you today to determine the location of those. The applicant has provided additional information and 3 different scenarios for the placement of the solar panel carport structures. And staff has provided a recommendation with condition that one of the 3 scenarios be selected. And we've just left that open for you all to determine as you review the information. I'll let the applicant provide the rest of the background on the item.
Brian Fitzsimmons, Fitzsimmons Architects, 2721 North Walker. The additional information in front of you is an alternate site plan from the previous, and then some renderings that showed different shade effects at different times of day, and a report from our solar consultant on expected outcome of the solar canopy performance in the different locations.
Brian, can I pause you just for one moment? It's hard to hear.
Yeah, can you maybe pull the mic closer to you?
Let's try
A lot
that.
of echo.
Can you hear me now?
Honestly, it sounds like our speakers are not on. Do y'all notice that?
Hello, hello, hello.
That's interesting.
Okay. We will just listen as
So
closely as
you all
possible.
have a button here beside you to turn your speaker on. If you can click so that that's lit up. Are they on?
Oh, it was. There we go.
Okay,
There we go.
see if that helps.
Let's give that a shot.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I guess to start off with, there was kind of a decision of looking at it in a couple of different locations and a couple of effects. One was where it is, which is our preference on the west side of the parking lot, with the street trees that we had, which are not part of the shade tree list, but are street trees. And then one second study with that same location, but widening the sidewalk in essence, or moving the trees to the curb line and installing a shade tree that's on the Oklahoma City shade tree list and projecting that at about what's anticipated to be full grown in Oklahoma City area. And then the third, placing it on the east side of the parking lot. And the results were interesting. adding the street trees, results in a 10% projected loss of solar energy over a course of a year. And placing it on the east side, which apparently is mainly due to the effects of the building on the east side, results in a 6% loss. And we would prefer, of course, to keep the original with the type of street trees we had, to get as much as we can out of the solar array. But a second choice would be the street trees. We'd rather sacrifice 10% versus 6% because of the effects on retail and people's need to park adjacent. It's just kind of a reality.
So you prefer scenario 2, which has shade trees on the street and still the solar canopy on the west side of the parking lot?
I prefer scenario 1, but if scenario 2 is about the only compromise, it's unfortunate compromise for one tree type versus another.
One thing I noted with, I believe it was scenario 2, where we had the new larger street trees adjacent to the west solar panels. It was an 8-foot wide path, except for the sections where a tree well would be, and that tree well was 4 foot wide.
Right.
That's right on the line of being a good enough, like a large enough space for a root development. So I was curious if any structural soil or amendment to the
Well, there would,
for root
there would
development
be
is
soil
considered.
and, as it's rendered, those are pavers. And so the thought is
Oh, they're pavers.
that
okay.
would be able to
Okay.
deal with the function of a tree well.
Okay, that's where the color
And
change
the,
happened.
and the minimum passing, or the minimum width in ADA and the zoning is 4 feet, where you have passing 5 feet somewhere else, so.
There is also that 2 foot, 2 inch, I think is what it was noted as, evergreen buffer that you have adjacent to the parking spaces.
Yeah, and that's part of the guidelines, to have
Okay.
a 2-foot landscape in front of parking.
Do you know what that plant would be?
I
It's okay if
forget
you don't. It
exactly.
looks like an evergreen in your renderings. but-
It'll be an evergreen, probably likely some kind of, similar to a boxwood, but faster growing.
Okay.
I forget the name of that particular plant.
Because my other concern is the plant that is in that 2 foot space will be very likely have overgrowth into the parking and overgrowth into our 4 foot pathway, unless it's trimmed up religiously to that 2 foot width, basically.
Well, at least the current building owners are pretty religious at landscape maintenance. So. I don't know if it's an actual religion, but.
Great. I do like the street trees. I liked what you were showing with option 2. I think y'all did a really good job of integrating it.
So no consideration for option 1?
I mean, I think we're here today because we were hoping for a solution that looked like option 2, which was providing shade to the pedestrians that were using that street. So I think for me, I love option 2 because it addresses my concern that I noted to you last month. But I'm only one committee member.
Yeah.
I prefer option 2 as well. I think it's a stronger streetscape. I am grateful for the option to see this and the sacrifice of the 10%. I get that. I know that's a sacrifice, but I do think for this area, having that the shade trees will just be a beautiful asset, but also add more comfort to the pedestrians in this space. So any other questions from the committee members?
Yeah. Brian, was there any consideration to solar off of 10th Street at all?
You'd have the same problem.
Yep.
Probably more so of a problem because of the streetcar and less room to maneuver. So.
Yep. Yep. I appreciate you bringing these options back so quickly as well. I know that we probably had a 2-week deadline to get these all in, so thank you for bringing them back so quickly.
If there's no other commentary, would anybody in the audience like to speak on this? If not, I guess we would do a motion for this. Stating the option to proceed with. Is that what you're seeking, Brian?
I'm sorry.
Are you seeking to know which option definitively to move forward with?
I'd hope that option 1 would still be considered, balancing the fact that there are street trees and maintaining productivity of the solar panels. But if that's a no-go,
Do we want to? Oh, go ahead.
I agree. I like of the options that have been presented, I think option 2 is really very pleasant. And I think that we're all kind of in the same. So I'm going to move to approve the application on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines of the Downtown Design District zoning ordinance as referenced in section C and D of the staff report, with the condition that the applicant install scenario 2 as directed by the Downtown Design Commission.
I'll second.
And that motion passes. Thank you. We appreciate you coming back. We will move now to item B, which is DTCA-25-00094 at 700 South Walker Avenue.
Daryl Calloway, staff. So the application is located at 700 South Walker, and they are proposing to remove the wood covering over the storefront window, remove storefront window, and infill opening with brick. The site is located just west of Scissortail Park, specifically the boathouse. It is the only building on the block. Just directly north is also a vacant lot. And then to the west, there are some historic buildings, including Czech Hall. And then directly to the south is the Oklahoma City streetcar maintenance facility. The building was constructed in 1935 according to Oklahoma City Intensive Level Survey of Downtown. And in that survey, it has listed this building as individually eligible for the National Register of Historic Places under criteria A for history and criteria C for architecture. As you can see, previously this building featured some painted brick and a boarded up storefront window. What's being proposed is located to the right. It's a bricked up storefront window with non-matching brick. I'm not sure if the applicant is present, but staff is available if you, oh, yes. Staff is available if you have any questions.
And just to be clear, this work has already occurred, so you're seeing this retroactively.
Okay. Any questions for staff from the committee or commission? Okay. Would the applicant like to speak on this? Yes, please. And you can state your name and address first. That would be great.
Hi, my name is Lorena Martinez. I am the owner of 712 South Walker. The reason why we put that brick was because someone tried to break in, and there was like an opening, like a little window, kind of thing. So that's what we did. We had to do that construction.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have any
Is that any more questions?
So was the storefront and glass removed when you put in the brick, or did you install the brick in front of the storefront?
It's just the brick in front.
Okay.
Nothing was removed. It was just the brick that was placed.
Is the building occupied?
What was that?
Is the building occupied?
Yes. So on the side, there's the other owner. He owns a Billard Supply, and then this is a bar. So it's been there for a while. So it was my dad's, and he passed it on to me. So it's been there for a long time.
So the dark gray facade is still there, just the brick is covering the front of it?
It's still there. It's just, we just placed the brick
Okay.
over the other construction part.
Yeah. Has there, I guess this is more for staff, because I don't think I've ever seen brick covering the wood in any case for security issues. I think it's just always been some type of metal security bar or like a plywood, some type of plywood to cover windows.
It was previously covered by wood, the window opening, just FYI.
Yeah, we don't, I don't think we have a record of how long the windows have been covered over with wood. And it is kind of an unusual situation since it is occupied. Typically when we see these kinds of changes being requested, it's a vacant building. You know, our guidelines would say that we're supposed to have a certain degree of transparency at the ground floor when it's an occupied commercial type of use. But obviously openings in this building in various locations have been enclosed with different materials for some time now.
Okay, thank you. And are you thinking that this solution with the brick is more of a permanent from here on out, like with no further modification to restore windows or any other modification in the future?
No, not as of right now, no. If anything, I would have to go through getting a permit and all that, correct? Okay.
If all of the existing fabric is still there underneath it, I mean, I understand if this would have come before us with a request, we would have said, no, don't do this. But the intent here is for protection and nothing was removed.
No.
We would have recommended another way to leave all of the original fabric in place.
Yeah, it's still there, that nothing was removed.
Right.
It's just
That's what I'm
it's just
saying.
the brick.
The brick is, the only concern that I have is you have a masonry system that now has a cavity behind it.
Right.
Moisture can get into that cavity and could potentially cause degradation of the materials behind it.
Yeah.
That would be my fear, where wood or something that was a different kind of material would probably preserve that window better. That would be that'd be my fear. Otherwise, I'd say you've just encapsulated historic content. What would we, there is no precedent for this, nothing.
I think if we had seen a request to do this prior to it happening, we would have referenced the, and I think we did in the staff report, the building conservation and rehabilitation guidelines, which would say you need to preserve historic openings and historic architectural features and not obscure them or cover them up or damage them. So I think that's staff's biggest concern, is that this is a historic building that historically had, you know, a rhythm of storefront windows and transoms, and that's been concealed at this point.
If the brick came down, what what would you do? You're saying that the reason the brick went up was because of
Of
security.
breaking in,
Right. And,
So if it was removed, it would look the same as it was before.
right, but from a security standpoint,
So I don't know.
I think that becomes a design solution for you, whether it's you secure it from the inside to where there's no way that they can get past
Okay.
the window. Having the window still behind is great because the fabric is still there. Getting the window back, I think, is beneficial to the building because the masonry will allow water to get into it, and that would potentially cause your windows to go away. They could rot. I think your building is going to be better served by the masonry coming off.
Okay.
And then securing it would be something that you would want to do that keeps the appearance of the outside. Any thoughts?
So having it done from the inside instead of the outside, is that?
Right, you would, from the
Okay.
inside, you would I mean, I understand, what's the city's opinion with respect to transparency on the ground floor if they're going to go directly inside and,
Yeah, we do make some allowances for glass that is not fully clear and transparent, that is tinted or reflective, that sort of thing. I don't know the exact percentages off the top of my head, but staff could certainly work with the applicant on what some solutions would be that could be done from the interior.
and we've done some buildings in Automobile Alley that we needed the window appearance from the outside, but the inside was a meeting space that needed to potentially be blacked out. So I think that there's a solution, but I think the brick coming off is the right answer for you
Okay.
for your building.
Because I know from that part and the inside, there's like a little, like, how do I explain it? Like a little table kind of mason thing. So that would have to get removed. And then place coverage from the inside as well.
Yeah, I think too, I think the part that Tony's trying to get to is if we allow this masonry to continue to be up, I think the long-term effects will be way worse than removing the brick and securing this from the interior. I think our concern is the preservation of the existing kind of forefront, right, or the facade with the, as intended, it should be glass front, right? But that's now boarded up with the window. And so just making sure that at a bare minimum, I think that where you had the facade before remains, but the masonry or some type of security gets moved to the interior so you're preserving what's already there and not allowing weather or because of the big brick being porous, allowing that to come behind the brick, right, with obviously our weather in Oklahoma, and going through the wood and having that kind of stay there. I think that's what Blatt's concern is, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We're also needing to look at this with respect to precedent on future cases. And if this would have come before us, we would have recommended what we're recommending today. If we were to allow this to go forward, then somebody else would come back and say that's already been approved and precedent has been set. So I think
Okay.
that the brick coming down and then securing it from the inside is the correct solution for
Okay.
this.
So the commission could just outright deny the brick as presented today. Another option so that staff could continue to work with the applicant towards additional solutions would be to continue this for a couple of months. And then in the interim, we can work with the applicant on alternative solutions for the security in case those end up needing additional approvals, and either do that administratively or bring that back to the commission. That way they don't have to reapply and pay another fee and all that.
If the solution is interior, it would not need to come back to us, would
It
it?
wouldn't come back to you if it was entirely on the interior, just in case there was something with, well, we're going to install some sort of opaque material on the outside or something like that.
Or if they are talking about a tinted window, but you recommend it, so that makes sense.
So we have let's see, the March meeting is March 19th. We could continue it to that meeting. And then between now and March, we'll work with you on some alternatives to this to get you a solution that works for your business.
Okay, so I would have to come back in March?
You may not. We may be able to come up with something that
Okay.
can be approved administratively, and then you wouldn't have to come back. Or even come up with something that doesn't require review at all. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you recommend for us to remove the brick? Or
What we're going to do is
Or
deny
keep
the
working
application
with
for the
it?
brick and then continue this to, we just continue this to, right, it
You
would
would-
just be continued.
Yeah, just continue it because the only item is the brick. So.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
So when you leave today, you're just going to work with Laura, and you're going
Okay.
to work with
all right,
Catherine to make sure
And
that we get
Daryl.
this right.
okay,
Yeah.
all right then. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue the applicant to the March
19th?
19th DDC.
Okay,
Second.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that continuance passed. The motion for it. Okay, we will move to item C, which is DTCA-25-00098 at 20 West Oklahoma City Boulevard.
Thank you, Commission. Michael Philbrick, Senior Planner with Current Planning Urban Design. This is an application for a 7-story apartment community located at the southwest corner of Oklahoma City Boulevard and E.K. Gaylord. The application, we've reviewed it, and essentially we've picked up 2 significant issues that we've outlined for you in the staff report. One of them being the building materials, and the other being a retail priority designation in the downtown design framework that also applies to this site. With respect to the building materials, the applicant's proposing to use in limited fashion on all 3 elevations fiber cement panels, and there are guidelines in the downtown code that talk about limited use of that material for industrial and single and 2-family residences, but it's silent on the issue of using that material with a multifamily project. And frankly, this material has been used on multifamily projects on other approvals throughout downtown, including a couple examples of West Village and the Lift. And frankly, there's no reason that we can come up with that would allow the use of this material on single and 2-family buildings, but not allowed on multifamily. So we're not very concerned. We think it's a very hardy material, and that it's used in a widespread fashion, and doesn't have any quality issues or maintenance issues that we've come across. So we're fine with that material being used as part of this project. Second issue is the downtown design framework, which many of you may have been familiar with. It has a variety of policies and guidelines in it. One of them being, in this case, the retail priority designation for this site. It's not exactly the site, it's the street. Both streets actually are designated as retail priority areas at E.K. Gaylord and Oklahoma City Boulevard. What it talks about is trying to vertically integrate non-residential uses in a mixed-use fashion for vertical integration into the projects. The Commission may recall a previous project approved in this site back in 2020, and it did have almost 14,000 square feet of non-residential square footage on the first floor of the building. But it never got built, and that approval expired. And part of the reason was because they had difficulty attracting stable retail tenants for that space. So in this case, the applicants brought forth an application that proposes no integration of any retail space anywhere in the building. There are resident amenities built into the first floor of the project. We've worked quite diligently with the applicant to try and get some sense of interaction between the streetscape and the building itself. They've modified the project to integrate stoop access entries to all of the units that are on the first floor facing Oklahoma City Boulevard and E.K. Gaylord. And we believe that it's not necessary, with so many entertainment, dining, retail uses within a close walking distance, 2 blocks north of downtown, a couple blocks to the east for Bricktown, that this project, just bringing in the residents that will be in closer proximity to a lot of the uses that are already there looking for more customers, will be of benefit and assist in achieving some of the goals of the retail priority designation for these streets. For those reasons, we believe it's acceptable for the commission to go ahead and approve this project without requiring the inclusion of any non-residential space at the first floor. Normally, I would be concluding my presentation at this point, but I wanted to point out that there was a slight glitch with the noticing of this particular project, and not everything that's in your staff report was included in the notice. So many of those items that were not included in the notice cannot be acted on today. There should be a sheet in front of you that outlines the items that can be and should be included in your motion today. Basically, that includes items 2A, 3A and B, 6A, B, D, and E. And the other items are either going to be administratively approval by staff, or there's one particular item that might have to come back to the commission for action. That's a sign that is exceeding the 100 square foot maximum that applies to administrative approval. So we will take care of those later on down the line, and the items that are on your sheets in front of you are the ones that can be included in your motion for approval if you choose to do so.
So the easiest motion to make if we end up at a motion for approval might be to approve all items as listed in the agenda. Just to make it clear, you can't approve the items that aren't in the agenda anyway. That would just be invalid, but just to specify that.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Is there anybody in the audience today that would like to speak on this?
So my name is John Sempner. I'm representing Tradesman Architecture. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Okira, and the developer, Rose Rock. We're really excited to bring Boulevard Place back to you all for a third and final time, please. You know, bringing multifamily downtown is really important to us in our community. Bringing 262 multifamily units to this site is something we're really passionate about and really excited about. When you look at the current design, we've achieved, 7-story tall brick there at the entry piece, a nice pedestrian scale all the way around the building. Both on the north and the east, we've added stoops so that really pedestrians can come and go to their individual units. All the way up the entire building, every unit has a balcony, so we're going to get some nice activation along the entire facades. Along the west edge, which is Broadway, we've located the fitness center, so hopefully we'll have some nice activity throughout the day as residents come and go to the parking garage. The parking garage to the south that's owned by the city, we have multiple connections, both with a multi-story elevator in the center and a stairwell on the east side. So we're really excited about this, and I'm here to answer any questions you all have. Thank you.
Any questions from commission members? Or comments?
I appreciate with your submission, there's been a lot of times whenever these will come before us, and especially at the streetscape, it's lacking the kind of detail, and I'm thankful that you have already integrated some of the comments that we've provided in previous projects such as this. Whenever Hardy Plank is always the one that is kind of a topic of conversation whenever we're talking about how it's going to be installed, how it's going to be maintained, how we're going to make sure that it weathers properly. You've got two different variations of horizontal lap siding, concealed fasteners, everything's painted on site.
Correct.
Okay.
So the use of Hardy is solely intended for the interior balconies. So they're all short runs, easily maintainable by ladders and maintenance guys. All of the big vertical facades are all other materials that can be more appropriately addressed.
And the siding for the exterior surface, the horizontal banding is there
The big vertical is anything in our renderings that is beige is really brick going up.
Okay.
And anything is that is the grays, those are EIFS.
EIFS, okay.
And so the majority of the EIFS, or all of the EIFS, really starts at the third floor up. So when you talk about pedestrian scale, you're really going to see the brick down low. The whole base is brick with the exception of the little balconies and stoops. There you will see the Hardy Plank, other than the metal panel at the entry piece that is the wood look metal panel.
I applaud, if we're not going to have commercial, having porosity from the pedestrian experience for the ground floor units, which activates the spaces and doesn't create a blank wall, which I really appreciate. I appreciate that every unit now has balconies, which we didn't see in previous versions, which is really nice. Getting humans downtown is good. There are businesses that will want those humans, so we don't necessarily need more businesses, and you're around a lot of retail, so I am in favor of the massing and the general porosity of this project in its community, so.
Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit about the kind of the pedestrian experience along the streetscape, and I saw it's a 9-foot wide path. I love that. I appreciate you guys making room for people to actually live on the streets and have that experience walking to and from to all their places downtown. I love that y'all are implementing landscaping on both edges. We do want to talk a little bit about the landscape materials, though.
I might
that's
need help.
okay.
I might need help with some of it.
You're okay.
So when you're on the street side of our project, you're going to see a row of street trees, pure Okura requirements. All of them are going to be 3-inch caliper trees, so nice, good, hardy trees. We're bringing in pistachios. We feel that those are an approved city tree, and we love the colors that they're going to bring in the fall to really accent that. There will be greenery at those locations, similar to other Project 180, mostly low growth type stuff. And then as we get to the buildings themselves, up against the building, you'll see some planters at grade, but a lot of raised planters as well for some little accent pieces as well.
Yeah, I love that. The only thing I really kind of wanted to talk through a little bit today, I printed your plan off, so I have it in front of me to see it larger, are some of the species that are on the plan.
Okay.
One thing I did notice immediately was specifically, there's a reference to the existing street tree along Oklahoma City Boulevard. That symbol, that existing street tree is a bald cypress.
Okay.
And I think in your plan, you're showing it as a loblolly. It looks like that same symbol is used. So I would recommend going with a bald cypress over your loblolly if you're wanting to complement that.
I would say we're not going to touch what's in the boulevard today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
If that symbol, it's hard to tell because it's a little bit blurry from the scan. I'm just making the statement, if that is used on your site,
Okay.
probably use the bald cypress.
I think I'm struggling to find where the loblolly pine is on your
Yeah.
planting plan.
That's the other piece. This second thing I was going to talk about is the redbud along the streetscape. Redbuds are beautiful, amazing trees here in Oklahoma. They're not ideal street trees. They get a lot of sun scorch from the sun and the heat coming off the hardscape. They are actually an understory tree in the state of Oklahoma, which means they really thrive under the shade of another tree. So I was going to give you some suggestions. I came up with Mexican plum or a vitex tree being a really good alternative for something that's a bit more hardy, would still be an ornamental tree, just like your redbud. A little bit different color, but those are something to look at for a tree that would be more viable there.
Okay.
You also have an Austrian pine on your list. That is probably the top pine for getting pine wilt, which the OSU extension actually documents not using Australian pines because they have a high disease tolerance or intolerance.
Okay.
They're very susceptible to pine wilt and blight. So I would recommend switching to maybe that's where your loblolly can come in. You can also look at some other evergreens if you're wanting to go an evergreen route, maybe a magnolia. There are several juniper varieties like a Taylor or a Spartan juniper. Those might be a really good alternative for you to still keep evergreen, but get rid of that Australian pine because it won't do well here.
Okay.
And then also there's two, the Mahonia aquifolium and the Wandering Inch plant. Those aren't necessarily, those do grow here, don't get me wrong. I doubt you could find it in a nursery grown anywhere.
Okay.
They're just kind of one of those historical species we have, so I might just look at alternatives for those. I didn't dig deep into those. I wanted to focus on your trees today because those are your big ticket items. And, but there's some of those plants down below the smaller shrubs are annuals here, so I just wanted to point that out. If we're looking for plants that are going to be perennials or not have to have the extra maintenance care of rotating out annuals, we might want to relook at that too. But overall, like your coverage of your landscape, I'm glad you're doing that. I appreciate that. You're doing site furnishings on the streetscape. I love the little nooks you created. Is there pedestrian lighting as well?
There's existing lighting across the street, and on our site itself, there's only one pole on the east. We are working to get lights back on. I don't have that in this packet.
Okay, that's okay. I didn't see it on the list, so I wanted to just ask
Right.
about it. I guess lighting could also be on your building too. I don't know. There's options, but
Right.
just making sure that's a well-lit pedestrian experience for safety reasons
Yes.
too. We want to keep that. You also have the windows, so I understand there's like a little bit of strategy there, but making sure we incorporate that too. But those are my landscape comments of just
No.
some tweaks to help it be maybe a healthier planting plan for you guys.
I very much appreciate
You're
this.
welcome.
Is that something that can just get worked out with staff and does not need to come back to us?
Yeah, I feel like it can just get worked out with staff.
Thank you.
The main things are the trees, and I gave examples of good alternatives for all of them, so.
So just reference this meeting on YouTube for
Yep.
specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
and-
happy to send an email too if I get the list.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could be a condition to submit updated landscaping plans to staff as discussed in the meeting.
Yeah.
That sounds like an agreeable thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the project. I'm excited
Thank
for
you.
it.
I genuinely appreciate that you have structurally placed shade trees and pedestrian experience consistent with how we're trying to develop downtown. So there's growth even from Ally's end to this about how you build that public sector. So I appreciate that continued dialogue and improvement.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the multifamily housing unit number is exciting,
Yes.
very exciting. Would I entertain a motion from our team if we, or actually before I do that, anybody else in the audience that wants to speak on this? Okay,
I'll move to approve the application on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines of the Downtown Design District Zoning Ordinance as referenced in the agenda, and under the condition, and with the condition that the applicant resubmit a landscaping plan that references the conversation that occurred today with respect to plant species.
I'll second.
and that motion passes.
And I'll need to recuse myself for the next one.
Okay. Okay, we will move to item D, which is DTCA-25-00099 at 125 West Reno Avenue.
This is an application by Purvi Patel, Wallace Design Collaborative for David Todd, Oklahoma City, Maps 4, to construct the arena. I will not read off all the individual items, but I think we all know what the project is. It's to construct the downtown arena and install all related site features and improvements. You have on your agenda and in your packet the construction of a adjacent parking garage. The design of that is not actually before you today. What the applicant would really like to get today is approval for the foundation. We don't normally split things out like that, but because of the timeline to begin construction, their goal is to get an approval on essentially the placement and footprint of a parking garage structure, and then that design itself will be back before you in the future. Otherwise, we have a pretty complete, comprehensive packet for the entirety of the design. The commission has seen items related to this project several times recently. Both the variances to the setback that were recommended for approval to the Board of Adjustment, and also the demolition of the existing Myriad structure at the site. So the design team is here to speak to the project. I'll just really quickly run through the items that were noted in the staff report. The one that made its way onto the staff recommendation is the fencing that is proposed. There is a fence on the west side of the site at the Thunder Alley Plaza that you'll see on the site plans. That fence exceeds the height limit that is in the downtown design regulations. It's also not consistent with guidelines for fence design as far as level of transparency, spacing of pickets. So that is one that the commission would either need to provide a recommendation for a variance if we were to approve that fence today, or you have the option, of course, to continue that for further discussion, even if other items, other aspects of the project are approved today. Also discussed in your staff report is the loading dock that's at the northeast corner of the site. This, at the current arena, there is a space at the southeast corner that is a large paved lot with a fence. That has been a challenge for how do they screen things, how do they secure things when they've got trucks coming in, news, sports stations when we're in the playoffs, things like that. Where do those go? This is a solution they came up with to put that below grade. Because it's below grade, because everything that will be within that space will not be visible from the perimeter of the site, requirements for the screening of a loading dock essentially have been met, and they don't. They are in compliance with that per staff's review of that aspect of the project. The staff report discusses some other design guidelines related to the building. At the ground floor of the building, obviously they're set back farther than what the guidelines and regulations require. That's something the commission has already addressed with support of those variances. They also don't appear to meet transparency requirements at the first floor of the arena. They're well above transparency expectations for the rest of the arena that is entirely glass. Staff did note some places where perhaps transparency could be increased a little bit along that ground floor, but that is a guideline. The commission has discretion to evaluate that if you have any concerns about those design elements. And then I think those were all the main items of note. They have 4 street frontages. Obviously, the west side is being treated as the front. The east side is a little more back of house, but is still well landscaped and lit and designed for pedestrians accessing the arena from all 4 sides. So we did give you a couple of options for a recommendation depending on whether or not the commission wants to see that fence item again, and obviously you could split off and continue for further discussion other items as well. But with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant to present the application. Any questions for staff while they get situated?
What is the fence height requirement?
It is 4 feet for a front yard fence or 6 feet if it's a ornamental metal fence.
Thank you.
Good morning, Purvi Patel with Wallace Design Collective. Our address is 410 North Walnut, Oklahoma City. I have with me today Will Hahn with Manica, Rob Berg with Design Workshop, and Hunter Doyle with TVS Design. There's a lot more people working on this, but these are the folks we brought forward to walk through the board with the application today. As Katie mentioned, we're looking for the overall site approval for the arena, and then approval for at least obtaining a foundation permit for the parking garage. We are working through some of the design aspects of that. The other item we will be back in front of the board for is signage. That has not been included in this packet. That's a little further out. We're trying to meet the deadlines for construction and when permits are pulled. So we will be back. There will be some variances required with the signage. Obviously, unique building, unique use, and so that will be brought forward. We will need some recommendations for variances on that as well. We did get special permit approval for the use itself from the Planning Commission and City Council recently, so we've got all of those zoning related approvals from all the appropriate entities. I will hand the mic over to Will and Rob, and they'll walk you through the site, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hello, Will Hahn, representing Manica Architecture and the client, and then Rob Berg here with me.
Is it okay if I?
Yeah, we should stand here together.
Great. Rob Berg, Design Workshop. Thank you for having us.
So on this one, I'll handle most of the things related to the arena, and Rob to the landscape. He is infinitely more qualified.
And we know this is actually a landscape project. There happens to be arena here too, but this is really a public realm project. So,
Is it possible to go to a site plan? Okay, I can click that. Thank
great.
you. That's awesome.
Great.
And it loads really, really quickly. Thank you. So in terms of the overall sort of partie, if you will, for the site, we have main pedestrian entry plazas on the northwest and the southwest corners, as well as the southeast corner. Grand stairs that take you up to a podium where the main entrance of the building is on the west side of the parcel. As was noted in the staff report, the open air service yard is in the northeast corner, adjacent to Sheridan Avenue. And off of Southeast Gaylord, we do have our entrances to the parking structure, 2 entrances currently planned off of Gaylord. Reno does contain connections along the entire site. The streetcar is, of course, preserved. I know we've talked about this in sort of past meetings. Happy to cover anything related to pedestrian access and the site fence, as you discussed.
I think that's great. Yeah, I'd love to get into the detail. We did receive the feedback regarding the fence and the northeast corner. So maybe I could just address the northeast corner to start. Obviously, we've got the open air service yard right there. We've addressed all the other 3 kind of entry points to the site with a really generous plaza that leads you to an entry point. In that one corner, we don't have a pedestrian entry. I think there's probably more we can do from a public realm perspective, maybe additional concrete and smaller plazette or something, and some landscaping there to make it feel a little bit more welcoming. We are, in terms of design, we're right at about 100% DD, so there's still plenty of time to modify some of those things. But hear you loud and clear. There's a number of people coming from Bricktown coming through that area, and we want to make sure we're receiving those folks appropriately. The Thunder Alley itself is a fan experience zone, which currently happens in the park today, and the intent is that that happens now on the property, which we're really excited about. This has been one of those malleable places as the arena, meets all the programmatic requirements. It's shifted a few times, all those kinds of things. There are NBA requirements in terms of security that we have to meet, and we understand the perception of a fence that close to the public realm, that close to, or that adjacent to a sidewalk is not ideal. We're kind of between two requirements here. So would love to workshop that a little bit more and discuss kind of what are some alternatives to that, or some options maybe for some landscape screening, or ways to bring down the visual scale of that fence. The fence material itself is also dictated by NBA requirements. They have very strict requirements that you can't pass anything through one of those fences. So we're limited to an opening of no more than, I think, 2 inches on that. So it becomes pretty opaque, that fence itself. So while I think there's still ways to make it ornamental and attractive, just know kind of some of the things we're getting from that side of the sheet as well. And then happy to answer or go into any detail on anything else. Would love to talk planting design at some point. We are, again, at about 100% DD, and so we're still working through all of the tree and plant species, but just love being in the audience listening to that. So.
Thank you all. Sorry, I had to get a cough drop. I can't leave the podium, so I had to do something.
It's okay.
I do have some questions over the fence. I feel like I'm missing the detail of maybe what you're proposing today.
I think it's in here. Let's see. Oh, is that the end of the? Oh.
And while you're finding it, I do completely 100% agree that that northeast corner is desperate for that pedestrian feeling that you're creating up close to the arena. I think that's a great missing piece to be addressed, because Sheridan access this giant pedestrian portal between Bricktown and downtown core to Scissortail Park. So I think it's going to be really important to have that developed as well. So I'm totally agreeing with you that that's something to probably look at a little bit closer and develop a little bit more for that connectivity and that placemaking really right there.
I'm going to say no disagreement with you whatsoever. The one thing I do want to flag, just so the group knows, based on the pedestrian studies that we've done so far and current access patterns, we see about 10% of access coming from Bricktown in that corner, whereas more about 30% comes from the southeast corner. So just as we think about the scale of access to the site, maybe keep that in mind in future.
Sure.
I would challenge you to say that current patterns prove that it's coming from the southeast because people know to go to the arena that's on the south side of Reno. Sure. But the north portion of Bricktown is about to become way more important, and Sheridan inherently is a more urban scale street when you get into Bricktown. So everyone that's on Sheridan is about to get a bigger bump of traffic because now you'll access the arena from Sheridan and from Reno. And so I think this is correct given today's pedestrian experience towards the arenas, but I think in 20 years you'll sit there and go, we got that one wrong.
Fair point.
Also correct me if we're thinking through the the stadium, the soccer stadium, that would be to the southeast, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
A southeast.
Okay. So it's not, that's south side of Oklahoma City Boulevard, east of Shields, correct? Okay. So you have like one block further.
So I know in this set of presentation slides, there's a page that has a detail of Thunder Alley. It keeps freezing up on my computer, or I would scroll to it and share my screen. Sorry, these are just so many attachments, which is fabulous. But our little computers up here, heating up. So yes, so.
Yeah.
And then I've got detail I can share here real quick of my screen that shows the, so this is the fence design,
Okay.
the pickets. And then the image on that slide shows you where the fence and gates will go around Thunder Alley.
Yeah, so it has to be a non-climbable fence, obviously, and then it also has to meet that 2-inch maximum opening requirement for the NBA to approve that. So,
For the NBA to approve that as an NBA sanctioned fan zone?
I believe that's the.
Yeah, for any sort of pregame gathering type events, yeah.
That the Thunder are charging money to use?
That may or may not be the case for each event. I think it would be on a case-by-case basis.
And you're proposing it to be blue or black?
No, it most likely would be black. Again, we're
Good answer.
pretty early stages in that, but yeah, I don't think it'll be that color right there.
I personally, I have experience working with the NBA. I recognize that, they have very strict rules. If this is a rule that we need to apply there, I think black is very transparent for that opaque of a fence. And the height and the pass-through, I get it. So as soon as he said black, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, what also I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, it's also hidden within this large planting bed too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be camouflaged within what's happening green there, which I'm excited to see. In my head, I pictured this freestanding fence, which it is, but it is not.
It's within
in
a
this case.
planter, yeah.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate you
Yeah.
noting that, because that is 100% the intent.
Yeah.
I think going back to the northeast corner, I'm not saying redesign the whole building so you have an entrance from the northeast. I think it's just make sure you have a generosity of pedestrian sidewalk zone that can receive the number of humans that I anticipate actually.
Yeah. Yeah, understood. Understood.
I mean, our current arena, there's some 5-foot sidewalks around some of it, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think just having more receiving concrete zone to take the 3,000 people that will rush there across 20 minutes will be useful. I appreciate the party of the diagram, which is pull the park into the site and create a very simple round thing that has some park-like gesture. I am in favor of approving a foundation on a parking garage for the future design that's coming.
Yeah.
I would love to see a bit more biodiversity in the tree species.
Oh.
I saw 5.
Yep.
One bad blight will take everything out, which is a little scary for something that should be here for the next 50 years. So I would love to see some variety in your tree species. I think everyone loves the Oklahoma redbud. You guys aren't Okies. I think it's an overused tree. I think it's a little bit ugly most of the year, to be honest with you. So I think just if there's some variety in ornamentals, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
I think it's an opportunity for you to educate 20,000 people 40 times a year on what landscaping can be, as opposed
Yeah.
to things that they're used to seeing.
Love that.
Especially with having the gem of the Mary Gardens across the street.
Exactly. Yep.
With the diverse, it's a botanical garden, so obviously there's lots of diversity there. I do agree. I think it's a park with an arena in the middle. I love it.
So in respect to landscaping plan, do you suggest they look specifically at the myriad gardens and the species that are there for inspiration, or kind of maybe a little bit more guidance?
I think it was a great inspiration. The city has done a lot of research on tree diversity across the entire city through Davy Trees. They actually have a tree survey. I'm sure. Do you have that?
Yep, we
Okay,
do.
I figured y'all have that.
Yep.
And from that is the study they produce as well, which I know you know about the other report of the encouraged species to use to help diversify the city.
Yep.
Great list. There are some reasons why some of those trees are not used as often. Maybe they're harder to get, or maybe not as pretty for a street tree or public environment. But it's a good guide. And then the Putting Down Roots book is always good. as well. So I'm happy to help with if you need some ideas too. We're a really good commission to give ideas as well. So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Will y'all come back with a landscape plan here?
So I think that's up to the commission. You all could approve everything but the landscape plan and continue that to be either re-presented to the commission or to just be worked through with staff like we did on the previous case, depending on what you want to see. And I'm sure that there's quite a bit of time to decide on landscaping based on the timeline for construction. So we could just kind of hold off on that one for a while.
I think it'd be nice to see it again here and to be able to review it. I just think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the northeast corner, can we approve the application, but also add a condition for them to come back with a revised northeast corner pedestrian? Is that within the framework of what we can approve
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
I have one last question, which is, two last questions. The southeast corner, pedestrians that are walking east-west on Reno have to walk around the team entrance into the site and back around the site. So it feels, as someone who used to work on Reno and walk west to the gardens using this site, it feels a little strange to walk around. And I recognize probably that has to do with security to allow the team in and out of that special entrance. I guess we need to make sure that that sidewalk's always clear, but as a city property, we can ensure that. Yeah, the sidewalk leaves the public right of way and goes into the private site and then back out.
Yeah.
That might be something we have to look at or something. I don't know what's in all the
Yeah.
agreements.
We might need to look at that
Okay.
and report back.
Okay. And then the one other one would be, in my experience, the docks tend to have like a security house at the wedge. Is there an intention to have a security house there? I didn't
Yeah.
see one in the drawings.
Yeah, it would sit basically right here next to the,
Okay.
there's a gate that would go down.
So
right
you'll
next
bring
to the
that
ramp.
in with the design of the garage?
I'm sorry. say
You'll
that
bring the design of that house in with the design of the garage? I didn't see it in the drawings.
again. Yes, I think that would be the plan.
Okay. I was thinking if you're going to design this amazing thing, and I would hate for like a prefab white aluminum clad thing that looks foreign to the rest of your landscaping just gets plopped down. So, okay, so I'm in favor of approving the application, requiring a resubmit on planting, working to revise the northeast pedestrian experience, which is the southwest corner of Sheridan and Gaylord, and then staff to review the sidewalk along Reno. That's where I sit.
So
That'll
it
work.
sounds like option one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm totally on board with letting them have a foundation for a parking garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, option one with the addition of those conditions, and then we'll work with the applicant on timing for all that and getting those kinds of things submitted, but that'll give us the ability to start signing off on permits as those are making their way through the process, and then continuing to work on those more kind of site details.
Is that agreeable to you?
For sure.
Very minimal.
Yeah.
So you're looking at approving items 1 through 6, continuing 7.
Or approving 7 with the condition.
With the condition,
that
okay.
those come back.
All right. Okay, so I make a motion to approve items 1 through 7 on the basis that the project complies with the regulations and guidelines with the downtown design district zoning ordinance that's referenced in section C and D of the staff report, with the condition that the applicant will present a final design for item 3B, parking garage, to the commission for review and approval at a later date. Will obtain a variance from the Board of Adjustments for a maximum height of a yard fence, C, for design approval of the northeast site for pedestrian access. And D, and then the condition that landscaping, is making a condition for landscaping, correct? Yeah, making a condition for landscaping that species and whatever, anything else? Okay, for species to come back for review, pending this conversation at the downtown design review. And, oh, yeah, perfect. Then I'll do the next.
I'll second.
Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, then I'll make a recommendation of approval for the Board of Adjustments for a variance for the maximum height of a yard fence. Did I already say that? Or are we good? Okay,
You got to say that part, yep.
okay. Yeah, so make a motion to provide a recommendation of approval to the Board of Adjustments for a variance for a maximum height of a yard fence.
Second.
And that motion passes as well.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
awesome. Thank you, guys.
Rib, go Thunder.
While they're going back to their seats, I did want to just say staff really, really appreciates how hard this team has worked with staff to answer just an absurd number of questions and provide every detail and response that we asked for. They've been really wonderful and helpful in getting this project to a point that we could bring it to you guys as a complete package today. So I really appreciate them.
It was a great package. We'll welcome Tony back. So we'll go to item number 7, which is other business, and we have none. And item number 8, which is communications. Anything in particular?
Nothing exceptional to call out. As always, if you guys see something in that administrative approval list and have questions, feel free to reach out to staff and we'll let you know.
I know I see the building that my office is in, the 629 West Main Street. Is that for the solar panels that they're getting?
Yes.
Yeah, our building is getting solar panels right now. It's going to be fully powered by solar, which is very cool.
That's awesome.
Trees blocking the efficiency of the solar panels?
I'm sure we do. Whole line of paper bark, maples. They're putting it on the roof though. Yeah. So we've been hearing that construction happening this week. Item B, comments from planning department staff.
We will get with you guys soon on status of a February meeting and whether we have a meeting or not, and if we and a quorum call as needed. We are planning on doing a commission committee training. People should have gotten an email about that, polling for dates. So we'll get more information about that out to you as we have it, and feel free to shoot me an email if there are particular topics you would like included that you think would be helpful. And we, before someone asks, we have no news on appointments to the commission. We'll keep you informed on that as we have information as well.
Okay. Any comments from commission members? Okay. Item D, our next meeting date. The next regular commission meeting is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. New applications were to be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Revisions and information on continued projects are to be submitted by Tuesday, January 20th, 2026.